Today on the Eurostep.
Is it finally not LeBron's year?
The Warriors blast past the Rockets.
And we discuss the draft prospects of Marvin Bagley III. Hi, I'm Oisin Brown and this is the Eurostep on CRC. Today I'm joined by Killian Loftus
Yeah.
and Alex Evans.
As always.
Yeah,
We're waiting for that.
that was kind of shit, like.
Oh, what do you want me to say? Happy International Day of Families. This time you're dead.
Oh man. The conference finals in both conferences have started, and we will start with the Western Conference. Last night, the Golden State Warriors ran riot against the Rockets despite James Harden's best efforts. He dropped 41, 4 and 7, but the Rockets lost by 13 in a 119 to 106 comfortable victory, I think, for the Golden State Warriors off of Kevin Durant's 37 points. Where should we start, Alex?
No.
Told you so.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, we're not surprised here. You all might be thinking, countless Instagram polls I saw going around with accounts asking the question, who's it going to be, Golden State or Houston? And many of them thinking it would be close. And as we see, a very comfortable game for the Warriors, put up 119, almost 120. The Rockets needed 41 and 23 in their two superstars in James Harden and Chris Paul to even come close, to put up an effort at all. They shot the ball terrifically, especially James Harden. I mean, 58% from the field, 56% from three. But the Warriors just outplayed them with their team ball. It looks like, from the stats, you might think Kevin Durant really went off, but their team ball was magnificent, as it shows in the box stats. The team as a whole shot ridiculous percentages, 52% from the field compared to the Rockets 45, 39 from three to the Rockets 35, 88 from the free throw line, and 24 assists to the Rockets 18. As well as that, they set the pace. You know, we know the Warriors like to get up and down the court quickly and get into their transition offense, and they had 17 points off 13 turnovers from the Rockets. So good, efficient play from the Warriors. Nothing too stressful on their part. They'll be looking to do the same again in game 2.
Yeah, I absolutely love how fast people's opinions change, especially come playoff time. Like you mentioned earlier, so many people said this is the Rockets' year. The Warriors aren't going to win. The Rockets will make the NBA Finals and dethrone the Warriors. Now, after game 1, I've read so many Instagram comments, most of them saying, we didn't think the Warriors were going to win. We didn't think the Rockets were going to win. We just wanted them to win. And then a lot more complaining about how you can't beat a super team. It's very ironic, but all in all, a great performance of the Warriors. Looked good, really. Wasn't that great? Durant and Thompson had great games. Curry had a decent game. 18, 8 and 6 is good, but by Curry standards, that's pretty much nothing. Draymond Green did next to nothing offensively with only 5 points. And it's scary for the Rockets because they had a pretty decent game. You mentioned James Harden went off for 41. Chris Paul had 23 and 11 rebounds. Even Eric Gordon had 15, Capella had 12. It wasn't a bad game for the Rockets, and it wasn't a great game for the Warriors. They still managed to win by 13. Scary stuff.
Yeah, I think going back, I suppose, to people's opinions and going through comments, I saw a good comment is from a Rockets fan page. I can't rightly remember which one it was, but they said, we didn't play bad, but when you're playing against the Warriors, you can't have 4 good games. You have to have 4 perfect games, because that's what it takes to beat the Warriors. And I think it was very refreshing to see people think like that, because that is the truth. When the Warriors play like that, if you don't have the perfect game of basketball, you're not going to win.
Yeah, that's 100% true. We saw in the 2 previous series with the Warriors, if you're going to beat them, it's got to be a perfect game. You got to play it. And if they score over 110 points, they haven't been beaten this playoff series, the Warriors. And even, as Killian said, they didn't even perform all that well. We know you need to play a perfect game, but the Warriors were far from perfect as well. They have a lot of room to improve. Their Hamptons 5, their death lineup, lineup of death, as people call it, with Iguodala, Durant, Curry, Thompson, and Draymond Green. They started the game last night and were very poor in the first half, to put it plainly. They had 4 points, -8 points differential, and they were 2 from 7 from the field. But when they were on the floor together, and in the second half they put up 39 points, plus 10 points differential, and went 12 from 19 from the field. So we're very slow in the first half, especially at the start of the game. Picked it up as the second half went on. Obviously they went into halftime tied up at 56, but it also goes to show the coaching of Steve Kerr. I think with this Warriors team, people always like to bring up, they're the greatest team of all time, which I think we all agree, and their players are fantastic, but they're so well coached under Steve Kerr as well, and he's great with making adjustments, and he knows exactly how to coach his players.
Yeah, 13 points, you can I suppose put it into whatever sort of narrative that you want, but it's only one game. It's not impossible for the Rockets to come back, but is there anything that they can actually take out of that game other than, damn, the Warriors are good?
Kevin Durant is unguardable, maybe. He said it himself. As he was running back on offense, he said, yeah, no one can guard me, just give me the ball. And he just laid it last night with 37 points, great performance. I don't think there's anything the Rockets can really take away. Just, wow, the Warriors are amazing.
And during the Pelicans series, when asked how he would guard himself, Kevin Durant said, I don't know.
At least he's honest. Be interesting to see him guard himself.
He has picked up on defense, but I don't know if he could guard a player of his caliber.
No.
Well, I think if the entire Rockets team can't guard him, I don't think he himself would be able to guard him, even if he knows himself inside out, because obviously you're going to know yourself better than anyone else does. But anyway, that's not going to happen unless we see some sort of people cloning thing coming.
I'm working on it, don't worry.
Look out, alert.
At me, Elon Musk. Yeah, so look, it's one game, but can the Rockets at least take a game in this series?
I could definitely see them taking a game where, Harden has a game like he had last night. Maybe Chris Paul steps it up a bit more. He did only have 3 assists. Other guys on the Rockets weren't great. PJ Tucker at one point. You can expect a bit more production out of the guys. And then if we see maybe a quieter game for Kevin Durant, if he only has 25, and the other guys don't really pick it up too well, that could be an easy Rockets victory. But like you mentioned earlier, you need to have 4 perfect games to beat the Warriors, not just one.
Alex?
Yeah, they do have to be more efficient from the field. PJ Tucker with his 1 point went 0 for 3 from the field. Trevor Ariza off the bench 3 for 8. Eric Gordon 6 for 13. You're going to need production not only from your superstar in James Harden and Chris Paul, but you're going to need something from your other guys. You're not the Cavs. You can't just rely on LeBron James to do everything. But if a few guys chip in, we've seen Eric Gordon go off for 20-point games in the past, lighting it up from 3-point range. Even if he can take some of the attention off of James Harden, because if no one else is producing, then they'll be able to slow down James Harden so much. So that's the key. Try and get everyone involved, I think, and get them going early and get a bit of momentum.
Yeah, well, if there is one thing the Rockets can take away from this game, did you see Chris Paul dropped Steph Curry?
He missed the shot though.
But then he got it on putback. But
almost all ankle breakers are push-offs nowadays, though. You always see a little nudge of the arm just to send them flying.
Still though, Curry was
still beautiful.
It was, yeah.
Can't take that away.
I mean, it wasn't quite Harden on Wesley Johnson level, but it was nice. And to do it on a player of the caliber of Steph Curry, it's it's nice. But yeah, that's more
especially
or less.
when he's cooked Harden or Paul multiple times in the past.
Pretty much his whole career.
And hasn't allowed him to make the conference finals until now. And he's going to boot him out of the conference finals now.
A little bit of revenge.
I suppose one more thing before we move on. We saw KD take off. And Steph Curry, I suppose, at least looking at the box score, he didn't have all that great a game. Does that mean maybe Kevin Durant maybe is the most important player to the Golden State Warriors?
No.
No, we saw all year, especially when Curry was injured, they struggled, the Warriors, without him. It's like you could look at the Milwaukee Bucks, the same thing almost. I know it's a bit of a weird thing to say.
If I see where you're going with this.
But especially during the Celtics series, Chris Middleton scored a lot of the points, but no one says that Chris Middleton is the best or most valuable player on the Milwaukee team.
I think there's a bit of a talent difference.
Oh, slightly, yes, but it's the same. Of course there is, but there's, it's the same kind of idea. Curry runs that offense, and especially when he's on the court, it's a different game, because like when they run that Hamptons 5, you've got to get everybody so close. When Quinn Cook or Sean Livingston was in the game, they pass it off to someone else and don't get involved because they're not the greatest shooters. Sean Livingston posting up or driving to the hole is alright, but Quinn Cook more of a playmaker. You can kind of relax a bit off him. You can help defense. If you help off Steph Curry, it's not going to end well for you or your team.
Right. So moving on to the game on Sunday afternoon in America, the Celtics they blew away.
I heard that R word.
Dismantled.
They destroyed the Cleveland Cavaliers 108-83. LeBron was limited to 15 points, 7 rebounds and 9 assists. Kevin Love was the Cleveland top scorer with 17 points. Hood and Clarkson with 11 and 10 respectively. In contrast, the Boston Celtics, they went off, as a team. Brown, Horford and Morris all with 20 plus points. Tatum also got 16, 6 and 3. It was just a brilliant all-around performance from Boston. And I suppose I might as well start with you, Killian, because I'm sure you loved every second of that game.
I haven't been an NBA fan for too long, but that is hands down the best defensive, showcase I've ever seen. Cleveland couldn't get an open shot to save their lives. Even 3-point shooting, any shot they took was contested. It was absolutely unreal to watch, and is the main reason why they could only score 83 points in the entire game. It was close enough to start the game. For the first 6 minutes, it was a pretty close game. Then the Celtics went on an unreal 17-0 run and the game was over. Cleveland pulled it back a bit in the third quarter, but it was too little too late for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like you mentioned, it was an unreal all-around performance for the Celtics. 3 guys with over 20 points, the first time the Celtics have done that since the days of 2008 Celtics. Jason Tatum, the youngest player to ever score 16 points or more since Kobe Bryant did it in 1998. He's breaking all kinds of records in his first playoffs. On the Cavs side of things, you can kind of look up. They did only shoot 15% from 3, 36% from the field, but it's a mixture of incredible defense and having an off night. LeBron James is going to score 15 points every game. J.R. Smith at 4 points, Kyle Korver at 5. You can expect more from those guys, so unless we see another incredible defensive performance, which will be hard to replicate, I can see the next game in the series being a lot closer, no matter who comes out with the victory.
Yeah, Boston just really established that game from the get-go, as the grey suit curse continues for the Cavs. 0-3 now when they arrive to the game in their matching grey suits. But yeah, 36-18 in the first quarter, and then 25-17 in the second quarter just sums it up for Boston. Tristan Thompson put it plainly. He said they punked us early and often. After the game he said that, and that's exactly what happened. They just got in their faces, didn't let them to get into anything they wanted. But as Killian mentioned, whatever about the guys around him, LeBron James isn't going to have 15 points every game.
Unless he's guarded by Marcus Morris.
I don't know about that.
Ooh.
But following the loss, LeBron said, "I have zero level of concern at this stage." And from a man who was averaging 35 and a half, almost 36 points per game coming into this series, you wouldn't expect him to do anything less. I'd nearly expect him to raise that average by the end of this series, because the Celtics
are the best defensive team in the league.
Arguably, yeah, and like we
Hands
saw
down.
against the Sixers, and their sweeping, or their gentleman's sweep even against the Sixers, they guarded the 3 ball really well, and we know the Sixers live by the 3, die by the 3 team. They shoot a lot of 3-pointers, and that's how they beat Miami, was putting up so many 3-pointers. That was their plan coming into the Boston series, but Boston guarded all them 3-pointers, no help on the inside. The Brad Stevens mentality is 3s are better than 2, so if you're going to give up anything, make it a 2, not a 3. And they didn't really let them get going, and it looks like they're trying to do the same with Cleveland.
Yeah, it was interesting to see. I suppose all the way once Boston established their lead after their 17-0 run, it just kind of, Cleveland never looked for a second like they were going to come back. They just seemed to have so much difficulty trying to get the ball in the basket, and you know what we saw from the last series when Cleveland played Toronto was, I suppose some people could put it as maybe a tactical masterclass from Tyronn Lue. Maybe it was just a tactical disaster from Dwayne Casey, but I still think that Cleveland can win this series. I think that they will figure out how to score more, maybe I suppose work better defensively as well. I don't see them conceding 110 in every game, you know. It's hard, to judge off one game, but I just don't think that that's going to set a pattern game 1 for the rest of the series.
Yeah, but in general, LeBron, like you mentioned, LeBron was averaging 36 points against the Raptors. I really don't think it's going to happen this time around. I think he'll still be around 30-point mark. He definitely will. This is LeBron James, but the Raptors had kind of 1 or 2 guys, and OG Anunoby and whoever else who could guard LeBron, or try to. The Celtics have a lot of guys who can try to guard LeBron. You have Marcus Morris, who, he talked the talk, but he did walk the walk. He did brilliant against LeBron James. You have Jaylen Brown, he's a brilliant defender. Al Horford's very underrated. Semi Ojeleye is hands down one of the strongest players in the league. Even Marcus Smart, he has a massive height disadvantage, but he makes up for that with heart and hustle. And Aaron Baines, not really. He can sag off him and defend the basket if his shots aren't going in. But just the Celtics have so many guys who can put a body on LeBron and kind of try and slow him down on his way to 30 points.
Yeah, I think they definitely have guys that can slow him down, but we've seen time and time again, everyone seems to have a guy that can slow LeBron down. Even thinking back to years ago when Paul Pierce was going to guard LeBron James and he was going to slow him down, and he put up,
he did most of the time,
40 plus points as LeBron walked by them. He's gone to so many finals, he's done it so many times before, he's come up against so many good defensive teams. I'm sure LeBron is going to find a way, maybe not past these Celtics, but definitely to put up more than 15 points, to put up at least 30, 40 plus. He's going to come out and do something, because realistically there is nobody in the league that can out and out say that they can guard LeBron James as of right now.
I was watching Stephen A. Smith yesterday, and obviously we all know Stephen A. Smith can come out with some crazy stuff every now and then, but he tried to argue that if LeBron and the Cavs were to lose in this series, it would have hurt more if for LeBron's legacy if Kyrie was playing. I refuse to believe that a team with Kyrie would hurt LeBron's legacy more if this Celtics team were to beat the Cavs. Would you be inclined to agree, Killian?
What if the Celtics had Kyrie? It would hurt their legacy more.
LeBron's legacy more.
You know, for once, not an outrageous thing for Stephen A. Smith to say. You can get where it comes from. Obviously, it would hurt his legacy for him to lose to a team that only All-Stars. Al Horford, most people don't even consider him an All-Star in any way, shape or form, which is outrageous. But then on the flip side, this is the guy who demanded a trade away from him, said, I don't want to be with LeBron James anymore, I want my own team, gets traded away and then comes back to beat LeBron James. That would be a massive hit on his legacy. Either way, I think his legacy would take a massive hit in the eyes of Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant's fanboys in that respective.
But then again, if Cleveland were to lose, that's one less L LeBron would get in the finals, because he wouldn't be in the finals. And obviously everyone talks about that, kind of just disregarding the fact that he was on his own in 2007 and he lost 2 finals to the greatest team of all time.
And another to the 14 Spurs, which are absolutely unreal.
True.
Incredible team
in history.
Probably might be the best Spurs team of all time.
The greatest power forward of all time, 3 other Hall of Famers, and the best coach of all time.
Brilliant bench as well.
Not that that Miami team were any pushovers, at least on paper.
They got destroyed in that series, but sure.
Inexperienced together. Well,
they weren't though.
That was their fourth year.
That was their last year together.
Don't know what you're getting at.
No, but the Mavs series, I mean, the first one they were inexperienced.
Spurs out here.
Only took Dwayne Wade to sacrifice his role for them to finally win. But anyways, back to LeBron James and how he's going to beat the Celtics tonight and in this series. I definitely expect LeBron to have a monster game tonight. Whatever about these guys slowing him down. There was the footage going around of LeBron being the first person in the gym this morning and getting shots up with nobody else in sight in the TD Garden, no one else there, with his pants, his shoes, his socks and no top on, because he's sweating like crazy already. He's probably going to go, when he's finished training, into some ice freezer machine to preserve his body, have a 2-hour power nap. Just the way he takes care of his body and the way he trains is just ridiculous. But yeah, he's already in the gym. He says he's not bothered, not phased. I am expecting a big game from LeBron tonight, as he squares the series at one apiece.
When we're looking at this series, it's still the 2 seed against the what seed were Cleveland again?
3, 4, 4 seed.
They're the 4 seed, and you know, losing game 1 away, on paper, if we just disregard the performance, disregard the scoreline, losing game 1 away, it isn't really a big deal.
It's what's supposed to happen.
Exactly. So I think, just I suppose judging by what we've seen on social media, I think things might be being blown out of proportion. Just a tiny bit.
No.
Well, I can understand. No. I can understand Celtics fans doing it, but then there's just the LeBron haters, and they just do my head in because they have no knowledge of basketball whatsoever.
First series, I think, is if the Cavs are going to win a game, it's going to be close, and if the Celtics are going to win a game, there's a good chance it's going to be a blowout. I think it's either a close Cavs win or a Celtics blowout. We'll see a lot of these games.
It's tough to say. The Celtics are a very good team when it comes to closing out games. So we saw it a lot in the Sixers series. You know, they were up towards the end of the game and the Celtics pulled it back, but this is LeBron. They were playing against rookies and a sophomore, so you could see a bit of a difference there.
Just a little bit. I mean, everyone in
Prince against the King.
I think everyone in the
That's
Cleveland
the
team, they do have a lot of experience, definitely in comparison to the Sixers. I think the only place where they lack experience is with each other. I think that's the only problem, obviously, with the mid-season trades and stuff.
48 teams this year, I'd say.
Well, starting lineups. I'm going to be surprised.
Teams,
probably is.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was more.
Ridiculous. But yeah, saying that Celtics team is pretty good at closing out teams, but that LeBron James guy, he's not bad either.
No, he's a choker.
Are running one-legged, one hand, kiss off the glass.
He didn't mean to bank it, so it doesn't count.
Turn around 3 hierarchying to win 2 games at the buzzer. But obviously, as Killian said, they don't count because the series were rigged.
Yeah.
That's the only reason shots went in, because it was rigged.
Yeah, it was rigged.
Exactly. And the Cavs are going to get the number 1 pick tonight because the NBA is rigged. Segue.
Perfect segue. Thank you, Killian. The draft lottery is on tonight. So we will know for our next episode who is picking where, bar any trades, of course. The Phoenix Suns have the most likely odds to get the number 1 pick. They have 25% chance of getting the number 1 pick. Following them is Memphis with just under 20%. Dallas and Atlanta are both just short of 14%. And then Orlando are the next closest, just under 9%. Chicago and Sacramento are at 5.3. Cleveland via Brooklyn are at 2.8. New York just under 2%. LA Lakers, which will probably go to the Sixers, a chance that will also go to the Celtics, 1.1%. Charlotte, Detroit, the Clippers and the Denver Nuggets all under 1%. But obviously we've seen teams with unlikely odds getting the number 1 pick. Obviously we've seen Cleveland have a bit of draft luck in previous seasons.
Chicago.
And obviously it'll help us with our mock drafts much more once we know who's going where, because obviously when teams are drafting, they are doing it to fill a need to, well,
most
some
of the time.
degree.
Unless the team's absolutely terrible, they're going to be filling a need. We always pick on them, but I can see the Magic just taking the best player available rather than, they've no real positions to fill. Team that wears blue. Shaq played for them.
That's just a joke.
From episode 1, man.
But, personally inside, I like the Phoenix Suns. I played for them in my career a few years back.
Where'd you get drafted? Oh, I got drafted by them as well. I think 4th.
It was so fun because it was just full of shooters. I was playing. Anyway, I hope they get the number 1 pick. They've been unlucky in recent years with the lottery. Just last year, wasn't it? They fell down to 4th. I think they had the second best odds at the number 1 pick. So I really hope they get the number 1 pick this year.
And they definitely need someone to pair up with Devin Booker. You can't
make the Kobe Shaq duo. Get DeAndre Ayton. I think we can mostly agree if the Suns get the number 1 pick, they're going to be taking Ayton. If they fall down, there is Jaren Jackson there, who's a pretty good prospect who can fill their centre role.
Mohamed Bamba.
Even Wendell Carter, but no one will be taking him top 3.
Well, providing they go for a big, if they fall from the number 1 pick.
Surely they would be.
Obviously, they're not going to take a 2 guard unless they get the second pick. They could look for a Luka Doncic and try and play him at the point guard. Try that out and see how it goes. And if that doesn't work out, you could play him at small forward as well, I think.
In general, the top of the draft is stacked with big men, though. You have DeAndre Ayton, Jaren Jackson, Marvin Bagley. You have Wendell Carter Jr., Mohamed Bamba. 5 prospects. They're all projected top 7, and they're all mostly centers. Bagley being a power forward. It's absolutely unreal. The only other prospects up there are Trae Young, Luka Doncic, and Michael Porter Jr. towards the top of the draft. So it's looking like Suns will be taking a big man. He's projected like number 5th on most boards. So.
He isn't
Number
projected.
5th.
No, he's projected like
Some of
7th.
Some of them have 5th.
He's not. I'd be very surprised if he goes 5th. But
it depends where he's going to go. Looking at some of the teams there, the Suns don't really need a point guard. The Grizzlies really don't need a point guard. They have Mike Conley. The Mavs took Dennis Smith Jr. just last year.
The Hawks is the most.
The Hawks maybe because
Dennis Schroeder wants out.
He's
the one I've seen the most.
He's not going back to Atlanta. Why would you want to go to? The Magic again could take anyone. The Bulls
be looking for a wing or a big man, I'd say.
Yeah, they with the play in Chris Dunn this year, he's really came out and shown as a playmaker, athlete, and a defensive presence. He's going to be their point guard for the future, it seems. Much the same in Sacramento with their young Rocky and De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, they'll be going anything but a point guard, I'd say.
I think maybe Cleveland or New York could go for Trae Young.
I could see him going to New York, pairing up with Kristaps Porzingis.
And Trey Burke.
And French
The
guy.
solution.
Frank.
And Emmanuel Mudiay. I forgot about him the last time we talked about the Knicks.
The solution.
Yeah, it'll definitely be an interesting one, and we will let you know how that turned out in the next episode. But we are going to turn our attention now to one of the this year's draft class, and he is Marvin Bagley III. He is a power forward from Duke, played 1 year in Duke. He averaged 21 points per game, 11 rebounds, an assist and a half, and 34 minutes, 61% shooting field goal, and he'd averaged just under a steal and a block per game. He was consensus college All-American. Duke got to the last 8 of March Madness.
The Elite 8.
Before losing to the 1 seed Kansas in the regional final. He wasn't always projected at third place, but with Michael Porter Jr.'s injury now, Bagley looks almost certain to be third, depending on who gets where in the lottery that we just mentioned. And the third pick right now would be going to Dallas. So I'll start with you, Killian. What do you make of Marvin Bagley?
Bagley is an unreal prospect. He'd be easy number 1 pick in most drafts, but this is an absolute stacked draft. You mentioned some of his accolades. He's ACC Player of the Year, ACC Freshman of the Year, ACC All-First Team, All-Freshman Team. He was consensus All-American alongside freshmen Trae Young and DeAndre Ayton. Is an unreal resume for only 1 year in college. You mentioned his stats: 21 points, 11 rebounds, 61% from the field, 62% from the free throw line isn't great, but 39% from the 3-point line on almost 2 attempts per game is very impressive. It shows that he has that shooting ability. He might not be a 3-point shooter next year, but it shows that he can shoot the ball, and it'll only take maybe a summer's off-season work to really get up there in his 3-point shooting. He's an unreal prospect. He's extremely athletic, extremely polished in the post. He's a great scorer. He's a perfect big man for today's NBA. He can run the floor, and he's the only real power forward towards the top of the draft, but he could easily play centre in the NBA. 6'11", I believe, about 235 pounds. He's a brilliant prospect.
Yeah, Marvin Bagley III projects to go third. It's pretty fitting, I think. Yeah. As Killian mentioned, some of his shooting is just phenomenal, especially in college, with 40% from beyond the arc and 63% from the free throw line. That's elite numbers from a player of his size, position and age. We see a lot of big men like that who can shoot in the NBA, but not many big men 6'11" at that age in college can shoot the ball.
Especially ones as athletic as him as well.
Yeah, he can do so much. He obviously those numbers are only going to continue to improve over the course of his career, but done so much in his short career. But a few stats, just in the ACC, he was only 8 in field goal attempts, but he was number 1 in makes, number 1 in percentage, number 1 in 2-point field goals, while only being second in attempts. Just, he's in the top 5 in nearly all shooting categories from a 6'11" power forward in a pretty good division in the ACC is just phenomenal stuff altogether. But much like Ayton, my one concern with him is the tournament. We see a lot of guys that really cement themselves as an elite talent in the tournament, the NCAA tournament. But the Bagley and the rest of the Blue Devils, they crashed out this year in the Elite 8. They were the number 2 seed and going up against the 1 seed Kansas. They lost in overtime, but Bagley put up a fairly average 16 points, 10 rebounds in his 44 minutes. They're decent numbers for a regular game, but not considering that their season is on the line. He played 44 minutes. He's by far the star of either of those teams. Duke were probably the better team. They've got a few more guys going to the draft this year. Kansas are just more experienced, but you can't blame it on experience or whatever, but if he is going to go to the league, he's got to prove himself and really be dominant, because he has the potential to be so dominant as a player.
Well, he was in the regional team of the tournament for, I suppose, all the way up till the Elite Eight. I think that's how they choose their team of the tournament for that. But look, he only played the 1 year, like I suppose a lot of the top prospects now. Obviously there's a good chance that'll change. Adam Silver is not keen on the one and done, but I still feel like Marvin Bagley could, even though he's projected third, he could be maybe a surprise going in. He looks, I suppose, pretty polished in comparison to a lot of the other players in the draft. Obviously we see, not this season, but the season before, a lot of the people who came in the draft, they weren't all that great really starting off. Obviously once you come in the draft you do have a pretty high ceiling, but starting off some players not starting so well. I suppose even this season you could look at Josh Jackson was terrible in the first half of the season, but he really picked up in the second half. We could see a lot of players like that, but I could see Marvin Bagley coming in and having an impact straight away.
Yeah, definitely. With his size and athleticism, he's already a very skilled player compared to the other big men towards the top of the draft, like your Wendell Carters, your Mohamed Bambas. He's an unreal prospect. I think no matter where he goes, he's kind of projected around the Dallas, Atlanta spot right now. That could change with the lottery, but wherever he goes, he will definitely make an impact and help that team towards coming good in the future.
Yeah, and he looks to keep up the Duke tradition going, to make it 5 years in a row where Duke will have a top 3 pick. Going back in the years, we've had Jabari Parker, Jahlil Okafor, Brandon Ingram both taking the same draft, and Jason Tatum last year, who obviously, if you're looking at last year's number 3 pick from Duke and Jason Tatum, whoever takes Bagley at likely number 3 will be looking for much the same, I think. Definitely with his size, his shooting and his athleticism alone, he'll definitely make an impact on the offense side of things. But defensively, a lot of rookies do struggle, and I think the same could be coming for Bagley. He is 6'11", he's tall, but he's not the strongest of guys yet. He is athletic, but his strength definitely needs to be worked on. If he's coming up against guys at the 4 position, say like a Zach Randolph or Julius Randle even, they're going to bully Bagley all game long, so he's got to work on that. Come up against those. But
they're not going to stop him on the other side. Blow by them.
It's the same with every rookie. They're going to need a couple of years to
fill out their body,
to fill out and polish themselves. He's only 19. Like,
I suppose the perfect example of the physical transformation is Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean,
he was a stick when he came to the NBA.
And now look at him. He is shredded. Damn, what a player. Anyone else buzzing for the Greek Freak ones? I mean, we it was just announced the other day he is getting his own signature shoe from Nike.
About time.
Yeah, I'm surprised it took so long. Just out of curiosity, who do you think is going to be the next player in the league to get his own
signature shoe?
Yeah,
Devin Booker.
No, but it's kind of hard. I can't really say who has signature shoes and such, but Devin Booker would definitely be one of the names up there. If the Suns will get a top prospect this year, and that could really help them move forward and maybe move towards the kind of 10 seed spot in the West with the guys like Josh Jackson, Marquise Chris, Elfrid Payton. Whoever they get this year is looking likely to be a Bagley, Ayton, Jackson kind of player. They'll definitely move forward, and that could have, they kind of say, Booker, yeah, you're looking like you're definitely going to be maybe even an MVP conversation the year after next, so we're going to give you this shoe, get it out early so people kind of jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah, Alex?
Well, the next professional basketball player to have a signature shoe could easily be a Mr. Leangelo Ball. If he makes the league, he already has a shoe.
Balls don't count.
G3 Lux. What a shoe. Well worth the price tag.
How much?
Too much.
Higher or lower than
300 and something, I think.
Ooh,
That's pretty much 400.
That's because he's the least marketable ball. I Does Anthony Davis have his own signature shoe?
Sure.
He has the Air Max Dominate. It's not his own, but only him and DeMarcus Cousins wear it. He has plethora of PEs, but the thing is, with like that, big men aren't marketable at all. We see guys like Steph Curry, even Kevin Durant, kids go out and try and be like him. They say, "Oh, look at me, I can do this. I'm Steph Curry. I'm Kevin Durant." It's always guards, because people can relate more to guards. If you can relate to a 6'11" Anthony Davis, who's just an athletic freak, then you're probably playing in the league with him and not trying to beat him and buy his shoes.
That's a very valid point. I suppose one more player. We're not going to drag this conversation on for too long, but if he moves, I can definitely see Kawhi Leonard. I don't think he has a signature at the moment. He is signed with Jordan, but he isn't very marketable because he doesn't have much of a social media presence, because he just has the reputation as being Mr. Quiet.
He's a very quiet guy, and I think Jordan Brand always looked for that guy to continue on their Air Jordan model, who's been going since Michael Jordan, and it kind of was Russell Westbrook. But I think they could look at that more as Kawhi Leonard and just not give him his own signature. Like we see with Jordan, they give guys like Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, Dwayne Wade, Russell Westbrook now as well, their own signature shoes. But I think Kawhi, they're just going to want him to be the face of the Jordan brand and get them to wear their Air Jordan shoes.
Yeah, definitely. That's said to be the reason why he wants to leave the Spurs, if that is true, which is looking pretty likely now, because he won't get as much money somewhere else, because I believe he's a free agent soon enough. He won't get as much money somewhere else because of bird rights, but he will get a lot more money out of a Jordan sponsorship deal. And if he gets his own signature shoe, if he's in a bigger market, and that's supposedly, they said to him, you have to go to a bigger market so we can make you a bigger part of the Jordan franchise, and that's why he wants out. That's supposed to be the reason anyway.
That's not why he wants out.
That's not why he wants out, but it's a contributing factor.
That's kind of like why his team wants him to move. Like his mandem.
Please don't ever say that again.
He's not wrong. But I definitely think there's more reasons. Like, Kawhi Leonard is getting enough money as it is. He's getting
he'll always take more.
20-something million. This year he played 8 games of basketball. Probably went to New York and back a few times. Probably all expenses paid for. Can do anything he wants for free. Get anything he wants for free. And lives in an old apartment in San Diego, a 1-bedroom apartment. Still drives his '97 Chevy truck. I don't think Kawhi Leonard is really that upset about the money he's getting right now.
It's supposed to be the reason, I don't know.
If he's too fussed, I'll take his position and get his money as well. I'd happily stay in San Antonio.
You spend all your money on shoes, though. That's what you do.
But not 20 million a year on shoes.
Could you even...
You spend a few grand on shoes.
There's only so much you can spend on shoes.
Eventually you'd have to buy your own house just for the shoes. I mean, if you're in that one-room apartment in San Diego, you're not going to be able to fit that many shoes in.
Put them in a basement or something.
In an apartment.
Don't worry about it.
You have to share your basement with a few other people. See, we don't have basements here in Ireland. That's not really a thing. So
no, we just have dungeons.
What?
On that bombshell. It's time to end it there. Thanks for listening, folks.
Thanks for ruining the show, Killian.
You're welcome.
So we'll have to leave it there.
Don't worry, we know how to cut that bit out now.
Just remember, there is a new Michael Jordan documentary coming soon to ESPN Netflix. It's going to be 10 hours. I'd imagine it'll be broken into 10 parts, an hour a piece. I can't imagine them airing the whole 10 hours in one go. That'd be a bit much.
And it better be named.
Outrageous.
And it better be named The Goat.
Whoa! No.
Controversial.
Or The Sheep, because everyone jumps on his bandwagon.
Oh, that's actually really good.
Hey.
But you can bet on it.
I got all the jokes.
You can bet on it being about the narrative of him being the GOAT, because you can bet now in America sports gambling is legalized across the country. Go sports.
Go sports.
Until Saturday, that's going to be a goodbye from Killian.
Woo.
A goodbye from Alex. And a goodbye from me. Until next time, keep grinding.